All right, let's talk about why transparency is so important within our democracy, within our government leaders, and within our political systems. You know, transparency actually allows us to learn, to develop, to advance. Because without transparency, we don't actually reflect and we don't do the pause to say, how could we do this better? You know, I work with companies and we walk in where there have been fatalities or where there have been injuries, and we look at what were the lead indicators that led up to this. And then ultimately beyond that, what was the thinking that went on in people's brains that caused them to make the decisions they did to put themselves or their organizations or their team at risk? You know, transparency allows people to reflect, to learn. If we're not transparent and we don't do the pause and we don't say, how is this going? How could we do this better? What needs to happen here? If we don't do that, we don't develop and we don't advance. Listen, it's the same for a nation as it is for our own lives. You know, nations grow, political leaders grow by actually looking at things and determining, did we do best practices here? How would we do this better? Did we put things at risk or not? You know, here's another example. You know, we can walk on a site and if people bury evidence where there have been near misses or there have been injuries, if people don't record those and actually look at them for the sake of learning, you can't say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's eventually going to show up in your marriage. You can't hide things. And yet in our political systems, if we're not willing to be transparent and we're hiding that, we're going to put ourselves and the health of us as a nation in Canada at risk. So there's the thought. Now we get to measure. You know, we can measure multiple areas. And I don't want to be political and biased, but how do you think we've done in the reporting of and the giving of transparent information around the Chinese balloon that went over us? How about COVID and our learning through that? And did we learn and did we grow? And are we better prepared to face the next one and know how to respond? You know, if we don't take the time to pause and to learn, we're going to go way back as a nation. We're actually going to be, I wanted to use the word like it's going to put us in a hard place. So we need to take the time to learn and advance and grow. So here's one last thought. For that to be required, we need to have humility and we need to be accountable. And if we're running from accountability or if we're not willing to be humble, we're going to bury the evidence and we're going to bury it. We're going to say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas here. We're not going to talk about this because of the fallout of what might be. And listen, that's a nation or a company that's going to be doomed, because we're going to put ourselves at risk, and that's how fatalities happen, because people fail to learn. So there's the thought. You get to decide what's the measurement you would give our nation of Canada right now around the area of transparency within our political systems and our current political leadership. And that will give us an indicator that's going to be a lead indicator that's going to determine, as we have currently been operating, the health of our nation going forward. So thanks for joining me. Wish you a great day.